Hello, I'm Filippa. Today we're going to discuss Kegels and why we shouldn't always be using them as we are told, generally by healthcare system, healthcare providers, gynecologists, midwives, and so on. My recommendation from having my own pelvic floor dysfunction is actually to not do Kegels for a while. If you have already benefited from Kegels, maybe you can maybe you can continue doing them. I mean, if you feel they are for you, if you have felt the improvement, do it. If you have not felt the improvement, stop. Try stopping and try some other solutions. So I'm going to talk about why I don't believe Kegels are for everyone, where they are from, and maybe what you want to do instead of Kegels. So Dr. Arnold Kegel was the man, the myth, the legend, who invented Kegels. And he was a gynecologist. He wanted to help women with pelvic floor dysfunction. So he took his hand, he put the hand inside a vagina of a woman, and then he made her squeeze. And he found that, you can squeeze in the wrong way, which is not good. So this specific technique is when you strengthen and kind of lift and everything's up in the pelvic floor. That's the theoretical purpose of Kegels. And what is the activation in the pelvic floor when you do a Kegel? It's muscles. Muscles are contracting and relaxing, contracting and relaxing. Many women with some type of pelvic floor dysfunction has some kind of scar tissue. Scar tissue in the vagina, in the pelvic floor somewhere. And what's the scar tissue? So I need to tell you a bit more about fascia before I go into scar tissue. If you have a human body in front of you, you remove the skeleton, you remove the muscles, you remove the internal organs, the brain, the blood circulation system, everything. You will still see a 3D shape of a human body. That's the fascia. Fascia is the web that connects every single cell in your body. Without fascia, we wouldn't be able to stand up or walk or even exist, probably. So, I mean, muscles are amazing. You can form them, they can become really strong or stretched. You can, if you don't exercise, we all know what's going to happen. So of course you want vital and strong muscles, but they are so interconnected with fascia. So, you can't only focus on one, we need both. It's like yin and yang, if you have seen it from the medical Chinese medicine, with this black and white symbol. And that's so representative for muscles and fascia. Muscles, is much more of a masculine quality. So it's more explosive, it's extrovert, it's going to take us places. While fascia is more of yin qualities. It's, it takes time to work on it. We need to be still when working on it. We don't want to be sweaty or, then the energy will go to the muscles. So we want to be more still and relaxed. And that's what most pelvic floor dysfunctions needs. If you have a prolapse, if you have incontinence or anything else, hypertonic pelvic floor, what happens with a hypertonic pelvic floor? Actually, if you have scar tissue in your pelvic floor, it's going to be very dense, like my hand here. Nothing can come inside here. No fluids, no circulation, no vitality. So we want to start to loosen these parts up. Otherwise, if we have these, and then we have the muscles around here somewhere, and we do the Kegels, we're going to create more tension here, because that's what we do when we do Kegels. We tense and relax and tense. So since we already have these really tensed parts of scar tissue, this is going to be a really tensed area. And finally, the muscles won't recognize how to relax anymore. So it creates a lot of imbalances. And what finally happens is, if the muscles can't relax, that's a big problem, because, you wouldn't want to walk around with this arm completely tensed all the time. It's going to hurt after some time. And then if you want to relax, it's going to be a lot harder to relax this if it's already like this all the time. So, you need to practice relaxation. And how can we practice that? So there are lots of different ways to do it. You can do any kind of yoga or meditation or mindfulness that will create some calmness in your system, which is good for overall health, but especially for these tensed areas in the body. And especially for scar tissue loves pressure and massage. So you could work outside of the pelvis, creating pressure in different ways. There's a great method called block therapy that uses this a lot. You release fascia in creating pressure outside of the pelvis. And also you can do scar tissue massage. And that's when you create pressure on the scar tissue. And you can use castor oil. It's amazing for scar tissue. So you apply lots of castor oil and you massage. And if you do it on yourself, it's very easy to feel, is this right for me? Is this okay? I mean, you're gonna have experience also not so nice feelings. That's fine. But if it hurts, if it's bad pain, maybe you should back off and just take a few breaths, creating this calm around your body, your nervous system, and your mind. So that's, this is just a few examples of what you can do to deal with pelvic floor dysfunction. And maybe you want to add Kegels later on. But what I believe, and many women who have healed alongside with me, is that we need to start to listen to our own bodies. We cannot just follow advice passively, thinking that they have the solution for me. We need to start to listen to our own bodies and get the message and try different things. And maybe you won't hear the message at every time, but it's worth start practicing listening to your own body. So my Kegel story was that I did them for 3 years, on and off a little bit, because I felt so depressed from time to time that nothing happened in my pelvic floor. I was just, feeling so wide and open, didn't give me anything. I didn't feel any connection. Also, I had vaginal gas, which is not so pleasurable, alongside with my prolapse. And what I've done is hypopressives. It's another great tool. I talk about it more in other videos, to start to activate the pelvic floor in a different way with both fascia and muscles together, combined with a breathing technique, because the pelvic floor is really connected to our diaphragm, which is like a cupola-shaped muscle in the bottom of our rib cage. And, these are synchronized. So when we breathe, it's going to affect the pelvic floor too. So I did that. I did scar tissue massage, and of course, yoga. I'm a yoga teacher, so that's always been in my practice, and other relaxing techniques to really relax my pelvic floor. That has been my main focus. And today, without doing any Kegels for 2 years, I think, I am stronger. I feel more connection in my pelvic floor than I have in a long time. But it takes some courage not to do it, because that's what people have been telling us from teenagers, like the teenage years. And maybe if you didn't hear it that early, at least when you got pregnant and after giving birth. That's the thing. Just go home and do your Kegels. It will solve everything, which it doesn't make sense when you think about it. So create your own toolbox. Just check so that you have many different options. For every day, maybe you don't need the same thing. Maybe you need different things. Maybe you want to check your diet. There are so many possibilities, maybe too many possibilities for us to even cope with, because we also are living our lives with kids and jobs and everything. So I just want to encourage you to take ownership of your body, to take ownership of your healing journey. And of course, you can discuss this with your doctor if you feel scared or afraid. But the thing is, they cannot recommend anything else than Kegels as a natural remedy. So keep that in mind. They probably want the best for you. All doctors, midwives, of course, they want the best for you. But here's the thing. You are the only person who will live inside your body with the consequences of whatever happens to it. And you can take charge. So you don't have to be a victim. If you had a really hard birth experience, or you've had injuries in other ways, or you are in menopause and things are shifting in the pelvis, just take ownership. There's so much knowledge out there now, and I'm sure that you will find lots of methods that will not only improve your pelvic floor health, but your health in general.